Episode 344. The Crimson Moon's spear thrust forward, slipping past two residents to strike directly at Sword Point. This was a dragon tooth. Sword Point scrambled to his feet and dodged away. Soft Mist followed up with a falling flower palm, blasting the oncoming mobs into a chaotic tumble. The scattered creatures left Sword Point with no room to dodge left or right. Sword Point leaped high into the air, a perfectly timed jump that narrowly avoided the onrushing minions. Seeing Soft Mist below him at an angle, now wide open, Sword Point's hands were already gripping his lightsaber. Just as a falling light blade was about to descend, a sudden thought flashed through his mind, and the final attack command for this falling light blade was never issued. The skill wasn't used, but by completing the full startup motion, it still went on cooldown. It looks like a waste, but in high-level competition, such feints and fake-outs are often deliberate tactics. This time, Sword Point's descent held no feint. The character landed solidly, and Sword Point let out a cold sneer.
Trying to trick me, sweetheart? You're not quite there yet.
The falling silver blade might hit Soft Mist, but the shockwave it creates would strike far more of the surrounding minions. In that critical instant, Jianfeng Suoji guessed Tang Ru's intent. She was trying to bait him into pulling aggro from the surrounding mobs.
You can have fun with them yourself.
Sword Point chuckled, using triple slash not to attack Soft Mist, but to retreat far away. Seeing Sword Point hadn't taken the bait, Tang Ru's plan fell flat, and now, with him simply backing off to a distance, she felt even more uneasy. This player was far too seasoned. Compared to his in-game calculations and schemes, she was just too green. Maybe I can only rely on my relentless forward-charging playstyle. With the movement boost from countless star power runes at her feet and the strength enhancement of fire attribute runes on her arms, Soft Mist's stats surged. She charged towards Sword Point with unbridled ferocity. But Sword Point had already figured out Soft Mist's intentions and temperament. He simply kept his distance, never engaging directly. Soft Mist had the advantage in mobility, but Sword Point was free to move as he pleased, while she was constantly harassed by the mobs. Even when she managed to land a hit on him, she couldn't follow up with a combo. If Soft Mist ignored the pursuing mobs closing in, she'd be the first to fall. Even so, the life of the one under his blade was steadily being whittled away, yet the target showed no panic. He calmly downed a health potion, right in front of Soft Mist, flaunting it for her to see. The gaming techniques Ye Shu taught were never some secret, exclusive methods. They were the fundamental lessons every player needed to master to become a top-tier expert. Plenty of players know the theory behind these things. In places like the Heavenly Domain, they're a dime a dozen. But knowing is one thing. Being able to actually apply it, that's what shows real skill. But how well you can apply it, that's where true skill is shown. Jianfeng Zisuo clearly understood this principle as well. He took his time swallowing a potion, and did it with such blatant arrogance, all to make Tang Ru feel utterly hopeless. Lost in the flow of the blade, he hadn't checked the time. Now that he did, the realization hit him like a shock. This scuffle has already lasted 20 minutes. For 20 minutes, surrounded by over a dozen mobs, monsters 6 to 8 levels higher, she not only held her ground, but kept relentlessly trying to hunt me down. Is Soft Mist just that ruthless? Sword Point's arrogance flared as he downed his potion, but then he saw it. His opponent, charging forward without a shred of hesitation, also took a potion. No wavering, no surrender. That unshakable resolve was laid bare in that simple defiant act. You can knock this kind of person down, defeat them, even kill them, but getting them to give up on their own? That seems impossible.
You've got some real skill.
Point of the sword started talking again.
But this is so boring.
Tang Ru ignored him, driving Soft Mist to close the gap with relentless fury. The tip of his sword kept dodging and weaving. It looked a bit like a game of hawk and chicks, only reversed, with the chicks chasing the hawk. Now a whole flock of chicks was hot on Soft Mist's heels, and these chicks were vicious, all dead set on catching her.
Have at you!
A sudden shout came from the direction of the sword's point, forcing Soft Mist to halt her steps.
Ha! Just kidding.
Point of the sword laughed heartily, looking for all the world like he was just bored and seeking some fun. After 20 minutes of this grueling pace, Tang Ru's stamina finally seemed to be flagging. His relentless advance was finally checked. He was trapped by the lesser mobs, locked in a desperate melee, and seemed unable to focus on the true target of his blade.
Damn it.
Finally able to stand still, Sword Point let out a long sigh of relief.
If I'd known it would turn out like this, why did I even bother? Just die already. You're wasting everyone's time.
Watching Soft Mist struggle to hold on over there, Sword Point called out.
Blade masters really do love to talk.
Tang Ru, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. Her voice was rather pleasant. Even with victory all but assured, Sword Point's first thought was of that voice. Still, the cold fury in his tone was unmistakable. Of course it was. If he'd been happy after being toyed with like that, that would have been the real surprise.
Enough talk. Aren't you bored yet?
As the words left her mouth, a deafening boom shook the air. A thunderclap tore through Sin City's sky, and the mobs beside Soft Mist were blasted away in an instant. This was the falling flower palm. The falling flower palm that followed the thunderclap seemed to carry an even greater force. Sword Point suddenly felt like he might be imagining things. Was the effect of that falling flower palm, even with the level advantage, a bit too much this time? Sword Point didn't have time to think it over, as Soft Mist was already upon him once more.
You really are persistent, aren't you?
The name Sword Point might sound a bit resigned, but his blade certainly wasn't. Jianfeng Suaoji executed a draw sword slash in one fluid motion. This woman had been tangled up with the mobs for so long. Even if he hit a couple of them, he wouldn't pull much aggro. Sword Point's plan was clear enough, he thought, and this strike held nothing back. Soft Mist leaped into the air, landing squarely on top of the blade draw's sword energy. Even Sword Point had to admit that Soft Mist's mechanics were truly impressive, superior to his own. Mid-air, Soft Mist was already lunging forward with a dragon tooth thrust. Yet, Sword Point remained unflustered, casually hopping back. But then came a soft thud.
How is that possible?
Jianfeng Suoji was utterly shocked.
How is he so fast? His attack speed just spiked.
He hadn't even had time to process that thought when his gaze, following the sword's point, snapped to his health bar. He couldn't ignore it. The sheer drop from that single dragon tooth was far too dramatic. That was just one dragon tooth, and it took out this much of my health?